Peace and good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Foul Playland. Wanted to make a short video to have some content for the day, but to touch on a subject that's happening today, and that's New Year's. But as always, I'm your Foul Player. Like to wish you guys a very, very, very happy New Year, and I hope that the 2022 is prosperous for all you guys. But I do want you guys to get off on the right track. That's why I came onto this video to give a little bit of advice. A little bit of advice to some of you people who may have had a falling out with your family, and you're probably pondering whether to go out to a nightclub or an event among strangers on New Year's Eve. You may be getting ready as we speak. Keys jingling in your hands, and you already put on cologne for this fine evening. But I'm going to tell you, put those keys back in the dish and sit your ass back down in the cribs. There ain't shit happening in New Year's outside of your house. Now, this is not applicable like to family parties that you have for New Year's or like little established parties amongst your friends. Those are cracking. You know, if you have one of those to go to, bring your ass there and shut the fuck up and have a great time. Don't get kicked out. But for you saps that don't have people that love you and try to go out on New Year's Eve, I'm telling you, that's a disaster waiting to happen. I've gone out many times in not many, probably like 7 times for New Year's. One of those times I did go to New Year's Eve to the Times Square thing. That was whack too. And I ended up getting into a little conflict that evening. But the option of going out like to a club or some shit like that, that shit is always whack. You know, the first time that I had an instance like that was when I was probably like 15. When I was young, I found out about because I tried to get into a few hip hop clubs, but I was like 15. I looked like I was 11. So a lot of times like I would try to here and there to go to a non-Spanish club, and it wouldn't work. But Spanish clubs didn't give a shit. Like where they would play like Spanish music, like salsa and like they ain't play reggaeton back then. They play like Dominican music, like bachata, merengue. But those clubs you could rock. Some of them wouldn't let me in either. But I bought tickets to go to this New Year's party that was gonna be in a whole nother neighborhood in Bushwick, and none of like I mean it was me and my homeboy Cy, and we both had tickets. But to go from my neighborhood to Bushwick by train, it's like an hour and a half. Like because you got to go into Manhattan and back, like from Brooklyn into Manhattan, and then back to like the other side of Brooklyn. So we were actually in my neighborhood in Sunset, and we went to this girl that I was just beginning to date, and I actually liked her. I wasn't dating her like that, but I went to her house, and a lot of my friends were cool with like her family, and like they had like a little party going there, and it was cool, like getting to see like the shorty, and then um I already had plans though. My friend was with me, the one that was gonna go out with me that evening, and we were trying to act like big shots, like oh y'all are at these little house parties, and we're going to a club. Like I was just dead set on doing that. As soon as I got to that club, that shit was probably like a quarter of the way empty, and that shit was nothing but dudes. Sausage convention to the core. Probably like for every 30 dudes, there were probably like two chicks. And there were probably like total like maybe 12 chicks. And this is a big ass place. The club was called Passion though. I remember like the because I went there a few other times. I've been other times too, and they like not to front on those Spanish clubs. Some of them were like really like great times. And like the broads there too were like spectacular. But that evening it didn't work. And I went to go take a leak, and I was getting shut down every which way, bro. I remember I was wearing like a new like it was a dress up shirt, but it was a piece of shit, like like an $11 shirt that was like brand new. Like I think I was looking pretty tight, balling on a budget, but I got shot down every instance. Like try to talk. On top of that too, I'm over here like looking like a 12-year old. That like but it was just whack. I had a girl that I liked like on one hand, and then I ditched her, and then on top of that too, I had to take a leak, and this big ass disaster broke out in the women's bathroom, which were like right next to the men's bathroom, and some dude ended up coming outside like leaking, like he's like grabbing on his guts, like somebody poked him, and somebody like the fight spilled out to the front of the club, and somebody got poked on the outside too. But probably like 20 minutes after that, we broke out. It was probably like 4 in the morning. So then we had to take that train ride back all the way to fuck to Brooklyn. By the time we got back, it was probably like 6 because the trains run like shit at night in New York. And our New Year's got off to a whack start. I remember my man was looking even more fly like than me. He had like a white like suit on. And when we were driving back from the train, like he was laid out the rails like on a train bench. Um, and it wasn't even that we were like that drunk. It was just defeated, like drunk, cold, fucking and coming back on a nasty ass train. But the last time I went out was the time I went out with my wife. This is probably like New Year's, probably like 2007 era, 2008, and I went out with my wife, my man Dolos, his wife, and a couple of dudes from my block. Like we like because like our block at that time was like very united. Like like where even the young cats would chill with the older cats. Like, but we all went out. It was probably like 8 of us, and some fat white broad started off. And again, that was another source's infestation, because it's not like I'm already with my wife, but I'd rather like see broads, if not an even ratio, like that way no drama starts. You don't got to be like trying to fight somebody for some stupid shit. But some white broad like fucking started being reckless and throwing like a drink, like a Red Bull, and then she grabbed another drink, and it was like probably like cranberry and vodka or some shit, but it was like red, and this stupid bitch spilled it on me. But I remember they kicked her out, and like fucking my wife wanted to tear her head off, like fucking but we like made him pump the brakes. But that was right around the time where they really started cracking down on like smoking cigarettes inside clubs in New York. But at that time, even though they cut down on like cutting like cigarettes, people would still smoke in bathrooms and like a lot of like bars and clubs, and they would normally let it rock because they just put the law into place like maybe that past year, because like it didn't really like hit like for like a year, like nobody like kind of like gave a shit. But a bouncer went in there spazzing out, but I was with a lot of people, and he saw me by myself, and I'm this like little white guy looking dude. So he started getting like bossy, like you gotta get the fuck out. I was like, bro, I'm not getting the fuck out. Like, there's a ton of dudes in here smoking cigarettes. Why the fuck you like trying to kick me? Like, and then he tried to like reach for me, and my friend grabbed him up, and then all the bouncers came. Like, I mean, we I was already married and all this shit. Like, fucking So I mean, like, I try to like calm shit down, but when we got to the front, or I was telling dudes to calm down, that it wasn't that serious, and plus the place was whack anyway. Like, we all dipped off to my apartment. Oh, I said that we should dip off to my apartment, but the bouncer that like started that whole shit, he was popping shit to me in the front, and but like popping shit like stupid words he knows in Spanish, like curse words, but you could tell he didn't speak Spanish. But I remember he had like braids, but like the front of his head was bald. And I was like, shut the fuck up with your bald ass braids. And like everybody in the front started laughing. So that actually set off my New Year's properly. But still, it was whack. I mean, if you could, I mean, like, you and go out, you know, remember you're gonna run into a bunch of dudes that nobody wanted them in their house, or that don't have a house, like, that sleep in, a bedroom or some shit, and are gonna have a shitty start to 2022 anyway. So you don't want to be in and around people like that, because they could make you end up going to the Bing this evening if you knock one of them out. And for ladies, I mean, like, yeah, your ratios do increase, because you're gonna be swimming a bunch of thirsty ass dudes, but there's no time, like, where a shorty, like I've seen ever go into a club and be like, oh yeah, there's no bitches here, like, like fucking, it's all dudes. Like, in those situations, dudes be beasting anyway. So you want to go out amongst that, because that's guaranteed. Like, any place you go to, that ratio is gonna be off this evening. But and I know it's not a New York City experience, because at the end of the day, like, chilling at a house party tonight, New Year's Eve, is always way better than anything that's happening going out. I don't care if there's fireworks, or if it's on a fucking boat, or if some asshole's doing a New Year's Eve performance. That shit is always whack. Stay your ass home. Happy New Year's, my peoples. What say you though? With that, as always, I'm your file player. I'm out. Peace.